Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name is Fred Wheeler, and today I'm going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, but in a different way. The topic is this: do you want to collaborate with HowtoDandD? In other words, do you want to collaborate with me? That's right, because HowtoDandD is just one person. I'm not a collection of individuals. I am just a one-man band, basically. And this is what it sounds like, okay? There's nothing sort of confusing about it. It's not complicated, but it relates to anybody, anyone whatsoever who has something related to Dungeons and Dragons that they would like to share with the rest of the community and the world. And I feel like there are plenty of people out there who could certainly share some of the things they do as part of their hobby with everybody else. So I'm going to make it clear right now. You do not have to have a website. You do not have to be a YouTuber. You don't have to have a YouTube channel that you run. You don't have to have any of that. You don't have to have a Twitch TV channel. There's no need to have any of that. You don't have to have a business that you're running. That's not necessary at all, whatsoever. Okay? For me, I have found that collaborating with other YouTubers has actually been incredibly difficult. The number of blocks and barriers that have presented themselves has meant that I really can't do it. And there's often many different reasons behind it. Because a lot of the YouTubers that I do have interactions with on a regular basis are part-time, they have a full-time job, and then this is really just a hobby for them. They do this on the side. They don't have time. Time frames don't sort of coincide. Ideas aren't necessarily, because their channel's running a specific type of content, it doesn't necessarily mean that collaborating with them is actually going to be very helpful or that it's going to be possible. So therefore it doesn't generally happen. And I've had a lot of people sending me messages via Facebook, email, you name it, everywhere, giving me advice on what I should do. And collaborations was something that people had suggested. And another thing was I guess a lot of people know that I'm just one person who's presenting everything, and they wanted a second individual. So the problem with doing something like that is when I had a job, it isn't possible to do that. To find somebody else who's also got a job who can sort of be like a co-host and have two people involved in the whole process of YouTubing, it's great when people can make that happen, but the reality is that it just isn't possible unless you are doing it as a job. So hence, I can't really do that. In the past, I have managed to do that occasionally, but as a regular feature, it's even more difficult now than it was before. But for me to do a collaboration with somebody who is not doing this, not doing YouTube stuff, because usually you don't have time to do anything else, right? Who isn't a YouTuber, who isn't on Twitch TV, who isn't necessarily in my time zone and got other things. A lot of my friends and family are just too busy for those sorts of things. But what I have found is that there's a lot of people in the HowtoDandD community who share things with me constantly. They share things, pictures, photos, artwork, ideas, video, all those sorts of things about everything you can possibly imagine, all the things that we get excited about. So what I'm going to propose is that why don't you guys come to me with an idea, something that you want to share with me and the community, and I'll put it up on my YouTube channel. Okay, so that is the proposition. So we have a really strong community, and that's really what I'm focusing on. Okay, so I think as a general rule, I'm viewing this as more of a hobby. And so when I'm talking about this, I'm not talking about this in terms of a business proposition. So for those of you who are thinking this is like a business proposition, it's not. Okay, this is not about you making a lot of money and becoming famous. Okay, I don't make a lot of money on this channel. In fact, I make nowhere near enough, and I'm certainly not famous. Okay, so what are we looking for? So find something that you think the community and I would find interesting that's related to Dungeons and Dragons. So that's your first premise. That's your first question. You decide what that's going to be. Okay, what do you need to do? So the first thing you need to do is you need to take some quality photos. It's fine to use your phone. Okay, just make sure there's a bit of decent lighting and you can actually see it clearly and it's not out of focus and stuff like that. Maximum of 6 photos, something like that would be good. Okay, if you don't want to do video, if you don't just want to do photos, you can. That's fine. Just photos. 6 maximum. Too many photos, too many slides to deal with. Shoot some quality video. Now, when I say quality video, look, I ran my channel using a phone for a long time and somebody's borrowed camera. So as long as you're not pointing the camera into the sun or into the window and it's all dark and the lighting is all messed up and it's not in focus and you're moving the camera around and it's wobbling about, just try to hold the camera still and try and get some decent shots. If you're inside, close some of the windows, curtains, so that you don't wind up with odd looking visuals going on. And if you're going to use some video audio, make sure you put your mouth close to the microphone or the camera and when you're filming it. Okay, one of the things that I would suggest you do. And I'm looking for, if you're going to shoot some video to send me to see and have a look at, maximum of 3 minutes. Don't send me a lot of video content, so try to condense it. I would not suggest that you try to edit any of this. You don't need to do that. I will deal with all of that sort of side of things. And then you're going to email me. You can email me at fredrickwheeler129@gmail.com. So that's fredrickwheeler129@gmail.com. The email address, if you are not going to remember this, it's all lowercase. It's in my About section of my YouTube channel. So you can find it right there if you're not too sure what the story is. Okay, so go have a look. That's where I want you to send it. If you are unsure that you really want to send me this stuff and you want to sort of trial it, I have a Facebook group called HowtoDandD. By all means, I also have a Twitter account. You can send it there, but I would suggest the Facebook group, but either the Twitter or the Facebook, and then you can sort of trial it with me. Just put a few things out there and see how I respond to it in terms of whether I think it would work putting it onto the channel. You'd be surprised what I would be consider putting on there. You also need to make sure you give me permission to use those photos and the video content. Okay, for it to go onto my channel, I need to get permission. That's part of the requirements of using somebody else's content. So make sure you do that sort of thing. Okay, you have to give me permission. And then the fifth thing that needs to take place, and it's optional. Okay, you do not have to do this part, and that is you and me are going to get onto Google Hangouts and we're going to have a discussion about what you sent me. So I'm going to do like a little interview. Now that's optional. We can do the interview and I will record it and make it part of the video, or we can have a discussion on Google Hangouts and we don't put it into the video, but you still get a chance to have a chat with me face to face rather than in typing it out on some sort of comment section or whatever like that. So we can do it that way. Or if you feel like putting yourself in front of a camera, you don't need that. You just want to send me some video or some images and I do the rest and you give me some basic instructions, then that's what will happen. Now, I'll make it clear that when I put it all together, I take all those elements, I'll edit it together, and it will include you in the credits for that video. Clearly, I will talk about you. I will put you in the credits. It's going to be there. So you will have your name up there. Like I said, remember, this is not really about becoming famous and getting rich because it's not going to work that way. Okay? I'm very, very small. So that's the gist of it. There is no pressure to do it live, so we're not going to do it live. There's no recording it while we're doing it live, so you can forget about that. Don't have to worry about that sort of stuff. It's all going to be behind the scenes, and then we put it all together later on. Okay? And that's what my job will be. Okay, so what can you share with me? Well, really, it's up to you. I would say it has to be around Dungeons and Dragons. It really needs to be around Dungeons and Dragons or role-play games in some way. And the sorts of things I might suggest is I know there's a lot of people out there who craft terrain, or they paint their own miniatures, or they modify or create and build their own miniatures in some way. I know a lot of people modify miniatures and stuff like that. That's all really great stuff. I know there's a whole bunch of people in the community who have 3D printers, and I'm happy for you to show somebody, demonstrate your 3D printer, or give them instructions on how to use it. If you have some tidbits and experience behind it, that's all great too. Maybe you have a gaming room or a setup that you use that you would like to show everybody else, or some tools that you use. Maybe you have a Dungeons and Dragons project And I don't know what that necessarily will be, but you will let me know what that would be and show me what it is, and we'll decide if it's going to sort of fit on the channel. Maybe you're a dungeon master who likes to draw maps and you would like to share some of the maps you make. I'm happy to do that. I would be quite happy to do that. Absolutely. Every dungeon master draws their own maps of various qualities and different types and so forth. So absolutely, if you're the sort of person who's into artwork and you draw characters or you draw monsters or creatures or other things that are related to Dungeons and Dragons or fantasy, yes, absolutely. Send me some photos, send me some images. You can just show me your little workspace if that's what you want to do. That's fine too. What about a meet and greet of your gaming group? If your gaming group are up for it and are willing to do something like that, I'm happy for that to take place. Absolutely. We can do that. Not a problem. So use your imagination. Absolutely use your imagination. Now, when it comes to frequently asked questions, I could think of about 3 different things that people were likely to ask me. Now, I've kind of said 2 of them repeatedly, but I'll say it again, make it really, really clear. Okay, you're not going to get any money out of this. Okay, trust me. There's really you have to get a lot of views to make money. I cannot pay you. I cannot pay myself. Okay, so you're not going to get paid. There's no money. Okay, you're not going to get famous. I have 10,000 subscribers, yes, but that's just 10,000 subscribers. You're not going to get famous. So forget about that. And the last one is related to Kickstarters. Now, if you have a Kickstarter that you are running, I am not really interested in promoting your Kickstarter on the channel unless you have a physical product that can be seen. Whether you take the video footage of it, it needs to be, I don't want to see digital images or anything like that. Kickstarters I'm not very fond of unless they have actually been fully funded and there's a physical product that people can see and purchase right now. That's my sort of view on it. If you have a business that you're running and it's trying to sell certain things related to Dungeons and Dragons, I'm not against that as well. That's fine, okay? But as I said, no changing of hands of money, and no, you're not going to get famous. So that's really what I have for today in terms of a proposal to you as the community. And look, I have many, many videos that you can go and check out to see the sort of stuff that I use and the sort of videos that I make on my channel. And I have a very eclectic, a very holistic channel. I do a lot of different things. And if you see a video on a particular topic or a particular nature that you think you could sort of do, something that would be related to that, absolutely, bring it on. But I have videos for dungeon masters and players. I have a Patreon page where you can go and support me if you want to do that sort of thing. So I keep staying in the community and trying to do this sort of thing, and certainly this will help make it possible to sort of pull you guys into the community as well. I also have affiliate links to the book depository and Amazon down in the description. I also have merchandise on Teespring, as it happens. It's just happened just recently in the last couple of days. Make sure to share, like, and subscribe. Hit the bell button to be notified when I go live and when I publish new videos. And yes, I am still on YouTube. I haven't gone completely. I'm still here. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.